Medieval Ages presents Weapons and Weaponry.
Weapons and Weaponry. Biomyth, Kiev, Shakthi, and Shaunak.
What weapons were there in the Middle Ages? Let's find out, Carl! Bladed hand weapons, including swords, daggers, and knives. Blunt hand weapons include clubs, maces, flails, horseman's pick. Ranged weapons include the guns, the bows, javelins, and artillery. Polearms include spears, lances, forecards, and glaives. Now we have bladed hand weapons! Bladed hand weapons. Bladed hand weapons were your typical sword or sharp object. A sword is a long-edged piece of melted metal used in many civilizations throughout the world, primarily as a cutting weapon and occasionally for clubbing. Let's talk about two types of swords, the arming sword and the long sword. The arming sword, also sometimes called a knight's or knightly sword, is a single-handed sword, the shape of a cross of the Middle Ages, in common use between 1000 and 1350 CE, remaining in rare use into the 16th century. The long sword is commonly held in combat with both hands, though some may be used single-handed. Long swords are used for hewing, slicing, and stabbing. The specific offensive purpose of an individual longsword is derived from its physical shape. Most swords are to pierce the victim and make them bleed uncontrollably. Clearly, you would not want to be confronted by a bladed hand weapon during the Dark Ages.
Blunt hand weapons.
Blunt hand weapons. Blunt hand weapons included clubs, maces, morning stars, holy water sprinklers, warhammers, flails, and horseman's picks. These weapons are primarily melee weapons designed to use blunt trauma to inflict damage on their targets. Most are club-like and rely on the user's strength and the mass of the weapon to create a blunt force. Due to the blunt force created by the blunt hand weapons, a blow would kill without shedding blood, with the church considered desirable. Thus, priests, bishops, and even the Pope used weapons like maces to kill, as well as following the rules of their religion.
Polearms.
Polearms are what the word suggests, a weapon on a pole. The pole could range from around 5 to 16 feet and were most popular weapon in the end of the medieval period after the sword. They were effective because a group of soldiers could form a line with extended polearms, making an almost impenetrable and very dangerous barricade of spike points. The polearms also enabled foot soldiers to reach mounted troops. Troops and pull them off their horses. All of this and the fact that it was a cheap weapon to make because it was mostly made out of wood made it perfect weapon to use in medieval warfare.
Ranged weapons.
Range weapons. Weapons in medieval ages came in different forms and types. This diverse array of weapons were essential as they provided different ways of killing and harming enemies in battle. Types of ranged weapons include bows and throwing weapons. A bow is a curved piece of wood connected by a flexible string in order to shoot sharp projectiles such as arrows. Types of bows include the longbow, normal bow, English longbow, crossbow, arbalest, and the ballista. The most common type of bow is the English longbow, also known as the Welsh longbow. Having been used by the English and Welsh for hunting as well as combat, this weapon was quite useful. The English longbow was most effective when it was used in the 100 Years' War against the French, particularly at the start of the war in the Battle of Sluys, 1340, Crecy, 1346, and Poitiers, 1356, and perhaps most famously at the Battle of Agincourt, 1415.
What was the purpose of these weapons? A weapon is any device used with intent to inflict damage or harm to living beings, structures, or systems. Weapons are used to increase the efficacy and efficiency of activities such as crime, law enforcement, self-defense, and warfare. In a broader context, weapons may be construed to include anything used to gain a strategic, material, or mental advantage over an adversary. While just about any ordinary objects like sticks and stones, cars, or pencils can be used as weapons, many are expressly designed for the purpose, such as clubs, swords, and guns. Weapons during the Middle Ages kept evolving and will keep evolving for a long time more. From simple spears to complex AK-47s, weapons have been our primary source of protection and strength. In some battles, the side on which better weapons were being used had a higher success rate than the side with less strong weapons, though they might have had more skill. How and why did the design of weapons change over time? As technology has developed throughout history, weapons have changed with it. Major innovations in the history of weapons have included the adoption of different materials, from stone and wood to different metals, and modern synthetic materials such as plastics, and the development of different weapon styles, either to fit the terrain or to go with or counteract different battlefield tactics and defensive equipment. For example, a bow and arrow were preferred over spears because they were easy to handle, provided greater mobility, were more accurate, and did not require as much raw material.
What were some weapons that were significant in determining the outcome of famous battles? Okay, so let's talk about the Battle of Hastings. In 1066, Harold Godwinson of England and William of Normandy. It was a battle between the English and the Normans. This battle was fought on Senlac Hill, approximately 10 kilometers northwest of Hastings. Anyway, at the end of it all, the Normans ended up victorious, managing to pierce an arrow straight into Harold's eye. This one shot won the whole battle. If not for this particular archer, the battle would have kept going on and there might have been a different ending. Yup, just a bow and arrow. As you can see, a small move can make big difference. We could go on talking about every single battle, but it would definitely take longer than a day. Some battles were fought strategically, by sending viruses and sicknesses into castle walls and weakening everyone inside. Then going in for the kill and taking out the remaining survivors.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise where I'm shining now. You can't see me, my time